Hello, Storygoers, and welcome back to another episode of Tales from the Cartridge, the video game storytelling podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Eric.
And I'm your co-host, Ryan.
And Ryan, we are through the Game Awards. We are here to talk about it.
Yeah.
It was that special time of year. We all come together for our love of games. Blah, 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 blah. All that heartfelt stuff. But before we jump into all that, how are you, and what have you been playing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm recovering from some illness, so I am feeling better now. But I was down and out for a few days. And starting from what I'm playing, the times I was down and out, I was playing some Factorio because that's like a pretty chill game that is fairly mindless, but you do some planning and stuff like that. So it's helping me feel a little bit productive in times when I was feeling very non-productive. We'll talk more about it, but there was an update to Helldivers, so I dipped in and tried that out a bit, and that was very fun and interesting. Very interesting to see like 3 fronts on the map now. It's pretty scary, but it's interesting. And then we've been playing with our friends, just a bunch of Marvel Rivals, and that's been very fun, a very good time. Yeah,
so much fun.
Eric, how are you? What have you been playing?
I'm okay. I'm tired. I was like actually yawning as you ask. Because I'm just like, I feel tired and just kind of worn out, and I have to travel on Thursday, and I just kind of want to, but I do, but I don't. So, but I'm trying to stay positive. I'm not doing the best job right now, but we're gonna get there. Just gotta get through 3 hard days of work. I had to basically move all my sessions into 3 days, and that's gonna be a lot of stuff going on.
Long days,
long days. A lot of big feelings this holiday season for a lot of people, which is just
folks.
Usually not the case. Usually this month is like, at least from my experience, I'm sure it is for many people difficult, but at least from my experience as a therapist, usually this time of year is pretty chill. Everyone's really excited because we were with kids, and kids typically are really excited, and it actually kind of seemed to die down a little bit because the excitement kind of kills not kills, but suppresses the dysregulations and whatnot. But anyway, no, this year's just been really difficult for people. So
I'm sure.
Yeah, but like you said, we have been playing Marvel Rivals. That's basically all that I have played. I love it. I really enjoy it a lot. So much so that my Instagram is basically just that. It's just basically Marvel Rivals tips. There's actually one, Ryan, I need to tell you about. I don't know if I told you about it. I don't want to say it on the podcast though, because I feel like it's like a known
gotta be
thing,
a secret.
I almost want to keep it on the down low and tell you afterwards, because I don't want more people to know it yet. I just want people
that's
to not
okay.
know it.
We'll go back after, and we'll learn all the secrets.
All right.
Maybe we'll make a shared friend group document where we'll add all of our Marvel Rivals secrets to it.
Marvel Rivals is really good. So, really enjoying that. And luckily, I want a PSA. I don't know the exact way. You have to do something special, not special, but you have to alter something in the game. That sounds like it's cheating. It's not. You can play Marvel Rivals on Steam Deck. PSA. Yeah, Steam hasn't officially acknowledged that it is compatible, but apparently Marvel Rivals producers or the game director has said that it is playable. You just have to alter something in the settings, and then you can play it. So I will be actively playing that on my trip home when I have time.
Yeah.
Learn how to play it with the joysticks, but you know what? It's better than nothing. So I don't want to miss out 5 days of like, oh my god, I just want to play Marvel Rivals so bad. It's gonna be killer. So very excited for that.
I find the Steam Deck for family trips is great when like. At least I don't know about your family trips, but our family get-togethers. But there's always like lulls in the day where everyone kind of goes off and rests and recharges. That's usually the time where I do a lot of Steam Deck recharging for myself.
That's what I need to do. That I'm gonna use that. When people sit down, being cozy, and talking to each other, I'm just gonna sneak away, grab my Steam Deck, and just play games.
Yeah,
very excited for it. But hopefully you enjoyed our last DLC episode about our thoughts before the Game Awards, as well as our character wheel for who would give the best gift.
Yes,
That's right. That was a really good one.
It was fun.
I had to think that for a second, as we've had so many Christmas episodes, or holiday episodes, I should say. But of course, Storygoers, let us know your thoughts, feelings, and perspectives at talesfromthecartridge@gmail.com. All the E's are threes. Also, by interacting with us on our social media and answering any of the poll questions down below. We'd love to read all of those and reflect on those as much as possible. Of course, you can donate to our cool Patreon if you so want to. That'd be great to help us out. But as we talked about before, is that time of year where we come together and talk about video games and celebrate video games and really just look forward to the announcements. Let's be real.
Yep.
We really just want the announcements so bad. And then Game of the Year is always a shocker that I never agree with. But I also this year I can accept it because it seems like people really were on board with this. You as well, Ryan, talking about it. I was like, I trust your judgment. So if this felt right to you, this felt right. But we'll get to that in a moment. But
yeah.
So we're going to talk about the Game Awards, all the winners, as well as all the announcements. Ryan, I not to put you on the spot. Do you have a preference
I can
where we
handle
start?
I don't. I mean, I think the announcements are for me are more exciting than any of the award stuff. So it's really a matter of if we want to like front load that excitement, and then if people want to stick around for our thoughts on the Game Awards, they can, or if we want to force people to listen to our thoughts and then tell them the exciting things in case they didn't tune in.
I feel like we need to do the hard thing first to get to the rewarding part. So we should force them to listen.
If we had to sit through that nonsense, then you have to sit through us talking about it. That feels reasonable.
And for those who did it once, guess what? You're doing it again.
You're doing it again. Yeah, exactly. With some commentary.
With some unnecessary commentary that will bring nothing really to the table.
Exactly. But this is our podcast, and we can spend it doing whatever we want, and they just have to like.
You're likely driving, Storygoer. You have no other options, so you have to listen.
Currently trapped. Yeah, exactly.
I dare you to get out of your car right now. You're probably on the highway. Don't do that.
Don't do it. Do we want to start at like the very bottom?
I think so.
Up to the top, the things that like we know nothing about, and then get to things that we
esports
do know about.
Real. Esports athletes are. It's like every uncle ever, every sports uncle ever. Esports ain't real. T.I. Navi. They ain't real people. I'm not surprised that League of Legends won Best Esports, though. Just another nail in the coffin for Overwatch. I really think that game is
not even on here at all. Yeah.
They just announced, too, that they're getting some Avatar The Last Airbender skins. But even then, I was a little surprised to see that, but even then, I really don't see how that's going to save this game.
No.
So it just kind of blows my mind. Sorry, Lindsay's actively eating donuts in front of me. We got lumber yesterday, but we didn't end up eating them. No, I have them here. I just need to eat them, but she's just acknowledging how good they are.
Donut taunting you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very good. Yeah, we got them yesterday, then we didn't end up eating them, so we had them this morning. So anyway. But no, I just think that Overwatch really has like no chance at this point. Right? I was actually talking about it with our good friend Dave from our Assassin's Creed episode, that it just Marvel Rivals just feels, not thinking about that again, but it just feels so good. One, not only because the controls are great, and it just feels very fluid. Two, it feels so good when you're in the flow of doing really well. It just feels really good comparatively to Overwatch, at least from what I remember of Overwatch. I have such fond memories of us playing Overwatch when it first came out, especially like that was, and just throughout those first couple of years of it too. But there's something special about Rivals, especially because I think a game like Overwatch and Rivals and whatever, Valorant, I don't know, games like those, I just think really benefit from a third person perspective, because then it makes me feel more appreciative of the things I'm earning in it, the skins I have, all those things. It just feels like a much better structure to a game personally than I would argue Overwatch or Valorant or I don't know, anything else like that does. I think that's what helps Fortnite a little bit too, is because you get to feel connected to the character that you're playing as, not just see their hands the whole time. It's a weird rant I'm having, but hopefully it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As you're talking about that, do you think there would be a Marvel Rivals if it wasn't for Overwatch? Do you think because oftentimes what Blizzard will do, or did in the past, they do not really do this anymore because that's just not in what they're not. At least they're not seen in that way. For a long time, it used to be like there was a genre, Blizzard would make a version of it, it'd be better and cooler than anything else that existed. The only hero shooter type game I can think of before that was TF2, and maybe I'm missing some, but TF2 was a first person hero shooter that was really big for a time, and then it kind of eventually faded out. And when Overwatch came out, it was like this, this big, very exciting thing that I think they have since, due to a lot of bad decisions, which I still haven't read the book about it, and I would love to when I get a moment, the Blizzard book about Overwatch, because it sounds like there was a lot of weird decisions that were made that got us to where we are. It'd be really curious. It's interesting that, Blizzard for a long time was like, they defined a genre. And now it feels like they popularized the genre, but then fully lost any control over it. And everybody tried to make an Overwatch type game. Not everybody, a lot of folks. Like that's what Concord, right? A lot of these games, and none of them have seemed to be able to capture the same amount of excitement as at least Marvel Rivals seems to be right now.
I mean, comparatively, even like looking at the numbers as well, on like Rivals had, I think in the first weekend, had 10 million players.
Wow.
During that weekend. A game like that comparatively to Concord, which had like nothing comparatively, right? But both offering kind of the same similar experience, really does say a lot about the importance of like IP recognition and
absolutely,
like, gameplay integration and stuff like that. Sorry, I think my dog's eating something. He's eating something. That's not good. But like how important it is to structure that, as well as like, no one saw this coming. Rivals has done a great job at. No one saw Concord coming. So no one saw Concord coming. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Rivals did a great job hyping up Rivals throughout its time before release. Like every day would be a new character or a new trailer towards their abilities or different information every single day. Concord had that one announcement, and then maybe another one before that even, and then it was just out. I didn't even realize it was out when it did come out, and I think that is a huge part in why it didn't work. But also these characters, it just felt like an unnecessary cinematic that when it first got released, that cinematic where there's this whole overarching story that we had no idea what the heck was even happening, that made us want to sympathize with these characters that we didn't end up sympathizing with, was just so much, where it could have just been so much less to build that hype up. And when it ended in that trailer, I remember thinking like, ugh, this is kind of cringy. Like as bad as I feel saying that, because so many people worked hard on that game and they deserve credit for making a game, which I'm sure is not an easy thing to do, but it just did not land the way Rivals has.
Yeah, and it seemed like they went the route of Overwatch too. Like Overwatch released this big cinematic, like similar to Concord. We knew nothing about these characters, but they like created a cinematic and a story that was really engaging. Like that first trailer was huge. Right? And you connected so much. And then, like, I personally, like, really love the gameplay experience, but it was really hard in my brain to, like, connect, like, I really like that there's these good guys versus these bad guys, but, like, they're on the same team, and, like, there's this, like, weirdness to that never really quite clicked for me. And in Rivals, I really don't think about it at all, to be honest, because, like you're saying, it just doesn't spend time, like, really... It doesn't need to spend time making you fall in love with these characters. You already do, because we've known about these characters for 50 years life. Or how. Yeah, exactly. So it's just they're very lucky to have that IP, and then also they made a really good game that feels good. That also, like, if you just know about these characters from like Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Like, get their skins and they can look like that.
Yes,
right?
Genius.
Or
Genius.
If you're really invested in like the comic book side of things, you know information about these characters and about these combinations, and there's like this whole like comic set thing that I don't fully understand yet because I haven't played enough time. Right? There's like stuff there if you want that, but certainly isn't needed.
There's like a story there, but they don't beat you over the head with it. It just is there if you want to experience it. And if not, you just are there to play. That's okay too.
Yeah.
And I think you make a really good point, right? It's so interesting how Overwatch went the route of let's have these giant cinematic trailers. That honestly, I've rewatched those. I used to watch those all the time. Especially the Hanzo Genji one was one I just like loved, and the McCree one was so good. Yeah, I'm calling him McCree because I don't know his new name. Whatever his new name is. It should never have changed. And I get why they changed it, but also it was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
But like, it's funny how we had that kind of trailer that added so much to the experience of wanting to play this game. But you're right, it felt so weird to have a Widowmaker next to a Tracer. But why are we? I thought we didn't like each other. Like, why are we fighting with each other? It never made any sense. Where with Rivals is like, sometimes heroes are villains and villains are heroes and vice versa, and villains are villains and heroes. It just made it doesn't make much sense. There's some kind of story there, but who cares? It's more about having fun, enjoying these characters and the art style is just hitting. Whereas Comfort's art style, I don't know, wasn't super into it. I don't think a lot of people were. Not to say it's bad by any means, but sorry, we're making food. And but yeah, I don't know, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. It's kind of interesting how games can just either hit or not hit. It really doesn't take a whole lot for it to be the difference maker. You just never know. And I think that's the biggest risk with these games, especially with Conqueror taking 7 years to make and then just die in a week, is it's a big gamble. It's a big gamble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah. Anyway. I don't care about content creator, do you?
No, I don't know any of these people.
I know of Queso because people told me about him. Oh, 1 second. But I just could not. I don't have enough time. I don't have time to play games, let alone watch people play games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'll watch
absolutely.
one person on YouTube play games, and I'll watch the Game Grumps. That's it, and they don't even really play like stereotypical games, so it doesn't really.
Yeah.
I'm there for the jokes.
Yeah.
Okay. Most anticipated game. I don't think is much a surprise at all.
No, not at all. This felt like a pretty easy win here.
Yeah.
With Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yes.
Being the winner. It is. I mean, anytime Rockstar talks about making things, they just they make so few games.
Yep.
And when they do make them, they are huge cultural pieces and capture the cultural zeitgeist in a really major way. I actually don't know if Red Dead 2 did in the same way as Grand Theft Auto usually does, but I still love that game a whole lot. But yeah, this feels like this felt like a pretty easy. And this is the first time in a lot of years that Zelda hasn't been on here.
I know, yeah.
And wasn't there to win
there's
it.
No game. There's no
There's no game. Yeah,
which is criminal.
Yeah.
And I will go, and going back to our episode from last time, discussing it beforehand, I look back and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of silly to think they announced a Switch 2 at this. I wasn't actually even like, I for sure feel like they're going to do this. I thought it'd be kind of cool if they announced the Switch 2.
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
So there's no way. You hit the nail on the head, Ryan. They want to sell Switches. They want to sell games.
The Switch.
That's why they had nothing. There was nothing from Nintendo at the Game Awards this year for probably that reason. I'm sure in February they'll announce the Switch 2.
Yeah.
And or maybe March. That way people can get their new Switches on for the holidays, use them a few months, and then all of a sudden the Switch 2 is coming out.
Yeah,
so I would say March
this
probably
new
is the
exciting
better.
thing.
Yeah,
that's a great
sense.
guess. Yeah.
Though I would say I am much more hype. Personally, I'm not a Grand Theft Auto girly at all. I am much more excited for Metroid Prime 4 and Ghost of Yotai.
Sure, yeah. I
still haven't played Death Stranding. I will eventually.
I haven't either. I feel like that'd be a game I would love, but I have not taken the time. Ghost of Yotai, I'm really excited and interested about.
Yes.
And I played Monster Hunter World, the one before the most recent one. And it was a really fun time with people. If there was a bunch of folks playing, I'd be excited to dive into that. That game is just so dense.
Yep.
Those games are so dense. And so you have to be in a really particular mood to enjoy them.
I've never played, but I would consider it. If it was the right time, if my love of Rivals dies down and I'm looking for a new experience, I might be interested. I've never played any of those before.
Yeah, they're interesting. They are. It's like learning a language though, like any of those really long-standing JRPG type games. There's a lot of jargon and stuff you have to learn that if you don't have somebody to help you, it's almost impenetrable.
Yeah. Would you like to do the next one?
Sure, yeah. So this one is Best Adaptation, which was Arcane, Fallout, Knuckles, Like a Dragon, and Tomb Raider, Legend of Lara Croft. Two of these I didn't know existed.
Same.
And, two of them I knew were going to win it.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I guess I said who won the last one. Do you want to say? You want to say who won this one?
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, we can just keep going. Yeah, let's just be willy nilly.
Sure. Let's just free flow. Yeah.
I mean, so Fallout is the winner of Best Adaptation. Though.
Yep.
I was in that boat. However, I just started watching Arcane. I really binge watched a whole bunch yesterday. I watched 6 episodes yesterday, maybe.
Yeah.
I love it.
I've heard it's very good.
It is. I cannot recommend it enough. It is so good. I have played League probably a decade ago. If I'm real with you, my college, my good friend Andy, my good friends Andy and Miguel. Shout out to you guys. played a bunch in college, and I would join them. I was not good at it. I want to be so good at it, but I just was not good at it. And it's very toxic. It just was not a good place for me to be in playing that game. But I loved the design of the characters. I loved the lore of the worlds. It was so cool. So Arcane was kind of like, I was like, how are they going to explain all this? How are they going to talk about what this world even is? And honestly, they don't. They kind of just throw you in and you learn as you go, but it's like really good. I highly encourage people, if you don't like League of Legends or you have no interest in it, but you want to watch a really good like show, I would highly recommend Arcane. It is probably the best way I'll experience League, and I really love it a lot. It's really, really cool. I love that world. It's so much fun. I've never want to live in it, but it's cool to watch.
Yeah.
Very cool to watch. I would definitely recommend people watch it. So, as I go on to season 2, probably tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Best multiplayer.
I was surprised at this one.
Yeah, me too,
I'm glad, but I was surprised.
I mean, so we had Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Tekken 8, and Warhammer 4K? 40K?
40K.
Yeah. Is it 40K? Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's 40K.
Warhammer 40K, sorry. Space Marine 2. I was focused on the triple zeros, and I was like, wait, is it 40,000 or 40K? And I said 4K, and I was like, wait, no, that's not right. I really thought Call of Duty was going to win this for sure.
I did too. It seemed like this was a really good Call of Duty year. Like people were like really into it, really loving it. Yeah, I was really surprised that Helldivers ended up winning this. I'm excited because this is a game I played and really enjoy.
Same.
But it like had its really big moment and then it really fizzled out, like a lot of multiplayer games do.
Yeah, like a lot.
It had this big moment and really fizzled out. And the only like I've been paying attention to it here and there just because it's a game I really enjoyed. And there was like a lot of anger in the community for a little while with like some of the changes that were made.
Yeah.
And they had this like big update that came out and people generally didn't seem too hyped about it. So I kind of thought the moment had passed, which I was a little bummed about. But you know, I also hadn't played it in months. But it was enough to win, I guess, which I'm happy about because it's a game I think that is like a really big labor of love and a team that came out of nowhere and made this really cool thing. The CEO ended up stepping down and becoming a like community manager or like a producer.
Seriously?
Yeah, the guy who was in charge, he stepped down and got a new CEO and he became like the director or like a community leader.
What? Really?
Because he wanted to be more involved in the game and not in the business side of things.
Dang, good for him.
Which is cool. Which is a cool thing.
I love that when I forget what moment it was. Probably when they announced the. We'll get to that. Well, you know, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'll save it for when that happens. Sorry, I'm going ahead.
No, that's okay.
I'm surprised it wasn't Call of Duty as we talked about because the Call of Duty's been huge. But it has had a lot of recent negativity kind of hit it. So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the voting.
Maybe
in terms of like AI imaging and the skins being way too intense in game. Like people, I guess for some players, like supposedly this is from IGN, so I'm not sure how they I don't know how truthful the statement of many players is, but I guess there are players who are like wanting to pay to block the new skins because they're just too much visually to know what to shoot at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really want to play Mario Party Jamboree though. I've been wanting to play it for a while now, and when it goes on sale, I totally will because I've been wanting to play that. It looks like a lot of fun. Looks like classic Mario Party, more so than the last two, which I haven't really typically enjoyed too much. Yeah. And then everyone loves Tekken 8. I'm really surprised. Was Tekken 8 this year? I guess it was. No.
Yeah.
Was it?
Must have been.
It must have been, I guess. Yeah, because they went through their first season, so I just figured it was probably longer than that. But yeah, I was going to say, I'm surprised it wasn't Street Fighter, but I guess that was actually 2 years ago. Maybe 3. I forget. Doesn't matter.
Tekken 8 came out in January. Tekken 8's been out a full year.
Okay, that's why it feels so long. Okay, yeah. Go figure. I mean, it's doing great. And Tekken 8 it has a new announcement we'll talk about later. So that's really cool. And Warhammer, honestly, I just see a lot of clips. It looks very cool, but I literally know nothing of it.
Yeah, it's a game that has been on my periphery because it looks like a fun multiplayer game. And I know nothing about the Warhammer world other than like there are YouTubers and content creators I watch who like know about it. The Warhammer, although that's not the Warhammer Total War, but that's a different Warhammer. That's the fantasy one.
Oh,
not
is it?
The space one. Yeah, there's a 40K and Warhammer, not 40K, are two different things.
Interesting.
40K is like super space future, and regular Warhammer is like fantasy.
That's not cool.
Yeah, they have very different vibes, and I really like the Space Marine lore. They're very cool. They're very cool things, and also scary, and also weird, and like it's a really interesting world that I am curious and interested in, but have not played because I don't have the time.
Same. Yep. Except for Marvel Rivals. Supposedly have all the time in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Next we have sports racing. I've played none of these games because I'm just not a big sports person.
Same. Go
Sox. EA Sports FC 24. I'm assuming that's Football Club. Is that what that is?
No. Oh, is it?
Is that what it is? I don't know. That's the game that won. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming FC is Football Club.
You're right. You're right.
F1 24, NBA 24, 25 was in it. Top Spin 20K 25, and then WWE 20K 24, which I thought WWE had a chance. People really like those WWE games.
Yeah, unless they're really bad, then people really
unless they don't. Yeah.
Yeah. I think EA, stop being cowards. Put soccer on the title of this.
Yeah.
Start to wild. Honestly, American football needs to change its name because it makes no sense why it's called football and then soccer is called football for obvious reasons. It's just silly. It's just silly and dumb. Can we just be better people, please? It's just dumb. Let's call Ryan. Since we're just so popular, obviously, we have a lot of traction in what we say and the
have a lot of cultural impact.
What should we call American football instead of football? Tackle ball.
Tackle ball's good.
Ball?
Pass ball's okay. I think when I think of football, I do think of tackling. Yeah. I think that partially is because of childhood trauma of being tackled in football.
Okay, a little close to home. Okay, yeah.
But passing does happen. Handing off does happen. I do like tackle ball though. That's fun.
Ball. Yeah, that kind
tackle ball's fun.
Falls off the tongue pretty easy. Falls off the tongue? What's the saying?
Rolls off the tongue.
I have so many stupid sayings. I'm always like so close, but just definitely off a little bit.
Very close. Yeah.
I think falls off the tongue does not sound very graceful as much as a roll does, but I like mine better as usual.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the soccer game won.
No FIFA. I guess they're not making FIFA. I don't know.
I guess not. Yeah,
we're not sports.
I don't.
Well, you're a sports person.
I can watch.
You enjoy watching sports.
Yes, I can watch sports. Yeah.
But
I can watch sports and genuinely understand it a little bit until like a 10-year-old comes in that loves football and I just look like an idiot.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about Randy Owens? And I was like, I couldn't even tell you who that is. I don't even know if that's a person.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I cut you off, Ryan? Were you going to say something? Sorry.
No, I was going to say I am similar to you in that I know rules of games, but I probably know even less than your experience level of things because I just don't know anything.
Yeah. I'm right there. This is going to be controversial. This will probably get taken out of the episode.
This will be the one.
I get irked when players are like, when they win and they're like, I just want to thank God for this win. This win is I just want to thank God. He's the one person. The reason why I won this game. And it's like, why do you think God's watching your game? Why do you think? Isn't there more important things God should be doing than watching your football game and letting you win? Is that cheating? Is that not cheating?
Yeah.
And plus, what about the dude that lost? He feels forsaken by God now at that point. I imagine.
He has.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really depends on how much of your worldview is tied to. No. I mean, it is a very good conversation to have about the morality of football and people's own sense of their personal divinity. But
I'm terrified of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm terrified that God's just on the couch and watching football and like
watching football.
Oof, the Chiefs are losing. I don't like that. I'm just gonna do a little bit of this because you know if God's doing this, is God allowed to then bet on games? I don't think so. That's rigging, is it not?
I'm sure he has no. I don't want to assume.
Oh, let's be real. With the problems of the world, we're gonna just whatever. Okay, yeah, they. Oh, sure, okay, they. Yeah.
They have no need for money, right?
But maybe it's the thrill of it. Maybe there's an addiction problem here. We talk about.
It could be. Yeah.
Someone needs to put light on this.
Yeah.
Why else would they be
should,
influencing these things?
someone should investigate this. Yeah.
What is the Pope doing? This is not his job.
I think that's the Pope's job, is to hold
Detective.
God accountable.
Hold God accountable.
Yeah.
Slap God on the wrist. Stop doing this. Stop influencing games. God's like, whatever. I just want the Chiefs to win. Just a big Chiefs fan. Okay, well, that will get all cut out. That's for us.
That's for us, yeah.
Whatever. Comment if you want to, or write in, please. Tell us we're wrong.
Yeah.
All right, best Sim strategy game.
Strategy game. Yeah.
Age of Mythology Retold.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Frostpunk 2.
Yep.
Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess.
You did great.
Thank you. Manor Lords and Unicorn Overlord. Two things. Kunitsugami. I would be terrified of being an announcer at these, and then getting the envelope to read it, and I'm like, oh god, all these people are watching me, and I would just butcher the word in front of everybody. Horrifying. Yeah. Unicorn Overlord, I thought was an Adult Swim game for like 10 years ago. But I'm thinking
the
Rainbow.
game you're thinking about.
Yeah. And I looked up, I was like, oh, this is not what I thought it was.
No, it's like a strategy, like a Fire Emblem type game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had heard of Frostpunk because the cover art for that game is kind of brutal. It is
a brutal game.
Yeah.
It's a brutal game. Yeah.
But I had not played any of these, so I had no input.
I played the original Age of Mythology. It's essentially Age of Empires, but with gods.
Okay.
So you pick like Poseidon's cultists, and then you get like Poseidon powers as you gather your wood.
Like the cult I'm gonna make.
Like the cult you're gonna make.
Yes,
exactly.
All the elites of elites down in the ocean. Which maybe is a little sort of a subject right now. With all that happening, maybe. All right, this is the episode that ends us for sure. Maybe if people had listened to us more, we wouldn't be in this mess. We'd be doing this in a much more arguably ethical way.
Sure.
Just saying.
It's true.
Just saying.
It's true.
If you don't know what we're talking about, I don't know what episode it was recently.
Go find that episode.
We talked about making a cult. It wasn't the topic, but it just came up. You'll have to go listen to it.
I'm sure you'll find it somewhere.
I'll look at all our subscriptions on Spotify, like, why did it go down so many people? What did we even talk about this? It was just the Game Awards. We'll never touch the Game Awards again. We never talk about it again, but we still talk about the controversial thing. Whatever.
Frostpunk 2-1.
Yes, Frostpunk 2-1.
Yeah, people love the Frostpunk games. They're like they're management games, but they're management games where like you'll get a decision of like, do you want to send these children into the mines and get more money, or like don't send them to mines, but they're gonna die because you don't have enough food. So you have to like make these really tough decisions as you're like trying to keep these people alive. It's an intense game, but people love them and they're supposed to be very fun.
Can we go on a side note really fast, as we already have? How dumb is the Minecraft trailers? Sorry, really fast.
Which, you talking about the movies?
Yes, 100% the movies. The one with Jack Black starts to goes, what? I'm butchering this, I'm sure. This is probably not the exact verbiage, but I don't really care. He goes, as a young boy, I yearned to mine. Stupid. What?
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
Kid, there's so many things you could do.
For
you
sure.
yearned to mine?
Yeah.
And get the black lung? What is wrong? Why are we doing this? I mean, we all have our hobbies, and we shouldn't be hobby shaming anybody. But it also makes it look like he never got to mine until he was an older dude. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm kind of done with Jack Black. I know it's a hot take. It's a hot take. I just can't.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gotten a lot of heat this year.
Yeah, a little bit.
Fallen from. Yeah,
this Minecraft movie just ain't doing it for me. I will not be.
No.
It's just and I'm not trying to tell people not to go see it. You go do you, but
I mean, he gets paid whether you see
he's
it or
paid,
not.
Oh, he's paid. Yeah,
he gets paid whether you see it or not.
True, so true.
So it doesn't really matter if you see it or not.
If I don't see it, then I'm really just beating up Mojang.
Yeah, which also they also got paid their $4 billion.
Yeah.
So they're doing all right.
Who made that movie? It doesn't matter. Either way, it's
doesn't
stupid
matter.
line. Stupid line. Shouldn't have been that way. It should have been a lot simpler. Stupid. Best family game.
Best family game.
You got Astrobot, Princess Peach, Showtime, Super Mario Party Jamboree, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. A lot of Nintendo titles.
A lot of Nintendo stuff.
The Plucky Squire.
Mm-hmm.
And Astrobot won.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised by this. I mean, it is a great family game, but it's not co-op in any way.
I was saying, yeah, I didn't think it was a co-op
It is
game.
certainly like it's like challenge to play it. You can tune it in a really major way, and it definitely I mean it feels like exactly like a Mario Odyssey game. Like it plays like a Mario game. Yeah, absolutely. It is like a platformer with cool quirky powers and stuff that you can get and do. And like there's collectibles. The collectibles are PlayStation people.
That makes sense.
But
so you can play as the PlayStation people?
No, you find them in the world and then they go back to your hub and they're like in little scenes and you can interact with them. Okay. So, like, for example, one of the very early characters you get are, like, Ratchet and Clank. Mm-hmm. And they stand there. And then there's a gachapon machine. And you collect coins when you play. In that gachapon machine, you get Ratchet and Clank, and they're just standing there in the sand. And then the gachapon machine, you get, like, Ratchet's wrench. And now he's, like, spinning a wrench. And he's, like, interacting fun. And doing stuff. Yeah, so you, like, find the characters. And then the gachapon machine, you get, like, their item for them to then like now they're their fully version of their like little scene, and when you collect like a group of them they're in like a scene together. It's very cute and very fun. If you're a big Sony, it is fully a Sony like PlayStation ad. Sure. Like the premise of the game is, oh no, a PlayStation 5 has been stolen, we have to go rebuild it and save it. Like that is the plot of the game. Because it's their spaceship. Okay. And they use it to travel. But it is such a fun little game.
Well, I guess a lot of people are up in arms in the idea that like Sony's using all these IPs that they seemingly don't really care about anymore to instill this like try to get people into playing this game. Like, oh, you love these characters, but then they don't get any access or any love and new titles or anything like that. It's just like
for sure
nostalgia, solely just nostalgia bait.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a big how the game is structured isn't that like you do these levels and they build up to this like boss. After you beat the boss, you go to this like special level where you embody a famous Sony IP. Mm-hmm. You then play as a Astrobot version of that, and some of those are games that haven't came out in decades or that they haven't touched in a very long time. For me, it was like really cool to get to replay that experience because that was like a formative PlayStation game that I played and loved, and getting to do it as Astrobot and like play that experience was very, very fun. But yeah, I don't know if I'd see it as a family game because it's just not. I'm glad it won because I like Astrobot, but it's not a multiplayer game. It is family in that it is like there's no violence.
It's for anyone.
Like it's for anybody. But like really what's special about it is that you're getting to like essentially I think there's like 200 robot versions of PlayStation characters you find across the game. And like the fun part is getting to find those characters and be like, oh, this person's in this. I can't wait to get their thing and see what they do when I hit them. And then like there's like things they can. Sometime I'll show you. It's very fun, but it does not in any way feel like other than I guess it's for everybody a family game.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Honestly, if that is the case, it's just family in terms of like can the family play it together. I would say Jamboree would take this because Echoes of Wisdom also is not that way. Is much more like an Astrobot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Go figure. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. Best fighting game.
Yes. What are your thoughts on this? Area?
Yes. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, Multiverse, and Tekken 8. And the winner being Tekken 8. I really thought it was going to be Marvel vs. Capcom just because of all the hype for that, but also people probably didn't want to give it best fighting game because it is just a collection of old games. I think there's kind of that stereotype of like this already came out forever ago. Let's not give this let's not give this the award when it should be a brand new game, which should be then Tekken 8 in my opinion.
Yeah.
Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising is also just a extension of Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is technically a fighting game, but also is not like a traditional fighting game. It's more like I don't know how to classify it. It is a fighting game. It's just not what you would think of as a fighting game. Yeah. And then Multiverses is really taking a tumble. Just not beloved the way that they, I think, are hoping for it to be, despite all these cool characters involved in the game. I think with Tekken 8, it just makes a lot of sense because it is really in terms of the fighting game culture, zeitgeist. I think Tekken 8 is beloved at this point and has just done a lot of great for the fighting game community, and it does deserve to win, in my opinion, too. So
for sure. Next, best RPG. A lot of great RPGs this year.
Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma 2, Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, and Metaphor ReFantazio.
I haven't played any. I did play Rebirth.
I've played not Eld Tree, but Elden Ring. So I haven't played that. Yeah. And you played Final Fantasy. Yeah. I was a little surprised too. I mean, people love ReFantazio.
Yeah, I guess. I really
from
didn't
what I
realize.
hear. But like also people loved Infinite Wealth a whole lot.
Yeah.
It was a really well loved game. And then Final Fantasy, it seems wild. Final Fantasy didn't. It's just such a big. It did such a big game and such a loved series.
It underperformed from what sales data shows. That Rebirth underperformed from what Square Enix. I was gonna say Capcom. I was like, that's not right. But from what Square Enix was hoping for, so they haven't done. They're not doing any DLC for it. They're just gonna go right into the third one and hope that they can make some of that money back. I think, and hope that they will then buy Rebirth to play the third one. Dragon's Dogma 2 was really on everybody's mind when it was coming out. I feel like I kept seeing videos for it everywhere. And of course, Elden Ring is Elden Ring. So I'm really surprised about that. I really would have thought Elden Ring was going to take it, especially if it didn't win Game of the Year. I would have thought that would definitely get what people's vote. So the fact that Metaphor ReFantazio won, I guess is like much more of an interesting game than I thought. It didn't look super interesting to me, but I guess I'm missing something.
It's not my the whole people love the Persona games, and this is just fantasy Persona.
Yeah.
And people love those games, and I just have never been interested in that art style or genre type game. But yeah, I mean, I think like I don't know if it's that Elden Ring is beloved by such a small, passionate group that it feels so much more like all-encompassing than it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really surprised here. But it is like a small. I mean, like I at least if I think about people who really love that game, it isn't like a casual. Elden Ring is not like a casual game experience. That is, and I don't know if metaphors or not. But yeah, I was surprised about this one.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right. It could be just be like a vocal minority of people.
Yeah.
That make it sound like it's much more than it actually is. I don't know. And Metaphor maybe just more of a game that people feel they can handle, and there's an art style that, though it doesn't click for either of us, I think it clicks for a lot of people. So yeah, it's interesting for sure. It's something I might want to go and check out eventually, just not anytime soon, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Best action adventure game, there's Astrobot, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2, Star Wars Outlaws, and The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, with Astrobot winning again. Best action adventure. I mean, adventure, I guess I could see that, right?
Yeah, this category I do not. It feels far too broad to me, because then the next game is action game.
Yes.
So just call it best adventure game. I don't know.
It should be just adventure game.
Like a wild one, but yeah, Astrobot won, which the Astrobot, like, you're certainly taking actions, but I would not call it an action game in the same way that like Silent Hill or Outlaws is.
Right, those are the two that in my mind that I think probably should have won. Silent Hill 2, in my opinion, I think with all the hype that it had, I think it really deserved a win. Maybe not Game of the Year by any means. It wasn't even nominated for that. I think it deserved to be at least on the podium for potential winners of Game of the Year, but with all the love that got. But again, maybe that was the vocal minority of people who love Silent Hill compared to everyone who was accessibly playing Astrobot and really dug that game. It kind of makes sense as I'm talking about it why Astrobot probably won, along with Star Wars Outlaws. People just did not connect with it the way
not at all.
was hoping it would.
Yeah, I'm surprised there isn't like a best horror game.
I think there is. There not? I guess there's not. You're right.
I'm really surprised about that, with how prevalent that genre is in the medium. But I guess there's also not a best like first person shooter. I guess they're probably trying to balance like what is the jargon of the medium versus what is accessible to anybody who decides to tune in to the Game Awards.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, they do those like they announce those like not smaller awards, but they just announced a bunch of awards all at once.
Yeah.
So they could easily put in more categories and just have them cycle through faster and
absolutely
accommodate that. I feel like that'd be a much better way of doing it, but I'm not Jeff Keighley, so you know what I mean?
You're not Jeff Keighley.
Surprise. Yeah. So I know you're all wondering, and it's not true. I'm not Jeff Keighley.
I mean, I have never seen you and Jeff Keighley in the same room, so I
Ryan,
was.
Stop. You're gonna make everyone think I'm Jeff Keighley. And you're Snoop Dogg.
It's true. Next is Best Action Game, Black Myth Wukong, Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, Helldivers, Stellar Blade, and Warhammer 40k Space Marine.
Got it out there, yeah.
Space Marine 2. Just a bunch of very different games, but these I guess all do feel like action games. Wukong won this.
I think it deserves it. I love Wukong.
Which, feels like of these the most like action packed and interesting on this list. So I think I'm glad it got the win there.
Yeah, in terms of the action, I think it is for sure, in my opinion, the best because it is so.
Yeah.
Helldivers is fun because it's so much accessibility towards options to play in the way you want to.
Yeah,
and it's very very action heavy. But I think Wukong, you really have to be mindful and present as you're fighting. You can't just willy-nilly it or else you will lose. You have to be really like on the ball with how you play the game and how you interact and how you fight because that's going to be obviously the key determiner of getting through that game. The level design's weird to me. I'm stuck in a place where I just cannot seem to get out of it. It makes me not want to play the game, which really sucks. There's probably something obvious I'm just overlooking. But
yeah.
Besides that though, and they just announced, or not announced, I think they just released, I'm pretty sure that they just did at least, a boss rush mode along with more items, more things to do. So people are really excited about it. I think it deserves best action for sure. I think it's just it's much more it's much more of a difficult game, but it's much more like rewarding in that sense rather than just kind of shooting something in.
For sure.
Yeah, the American way.
Yeah.
You know
and I mean, for me, like the Helldivers like has these really action-packed sequences, but that is not like what is fun about that game is the ridiculousness of those situations.
Yeah.
And like it is in no way a serious game, and not that an action game has to be serious, but just it just doesn't. That's not why I'm playing the game. It's for the really good action. It's for the fun of goofing around. Yeah.
So good. No, I think Helldivers 2 is great, but Wukong I think takes the cake for sure.
For sure. Best VR AR game. Neither of us own any type of VR devices.
Never.
Arizona Sunshine Remake, Asgrass Wrath 2, Batman Arkham Shadow, Metal Hellsinger VR, and Metro Awakening. Batman won, which is great. Good.
I've heard it's good.
I've heard it's good too. I've heard it's great.
I really thought it was a bomb. Not to be that person, but I was like, not gonna be a weird choice to release an Arkham game. Really inaccessible for a lot of people unless they have a VR set. But for those who played it, I've heard they really liked it a lot. It sounds like a lot of fun. I don't really want a VR personally. But you never know. One day I could be convinced, and if I do, I will definitely be picking that up. But I think it's only a MetaQuest game too. I think it's
I think it was published by Meta.
That sucks. That really sucks. Yeah. Curse you, Zuckerberg. That's it. Yeah. Okay.
It's the right one. Yep.
I couldn't think of his name.
Got him.
Curly hair. Zuckerberg. Next is best mobile game. We have AFK Journey, Balatro, Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. That's a mouthful. Withering Waves and Zenless Zone Zero with Balatro winning, which totally feels deserved. I haven't played it, but it looks. Everyone loves it. I think you and our good friend Dave played it, right? And
such a good and addicting game experience. It is like very similar to Vampire Survivors in that it is like this game that fully captures your attention and does not let go. It has like such satisfying audio and the moment-to-moment experience, and you get these moments of where you've just broken the game with this combination of jokers that you've got. It is so sad, and you just see these bigger and bigger numbers. It's a really satisfying game experience, and I think like it's a game that anyone, even if you've never played a game before, you could play Balatro and have like a really great time, as long as you like vaguely know the rules of poker, and even if you don't, it'll show you what the card combinations are. It's really fun. It's a really fun game.
I might have to get it on mobile, actually. I think that'd be the most accessible
Yeah,
to me.
absolutely. People love it on mobile. It's really fun on mobile, and it is a game that, again, just like you can just lose a lot of time. Just
Is it just get you? It gets you and won't let go?
So, do you know anything about it, Eric? Like what the experience
it's like poker,
is?
right?
Kind of. So, like you have, but you're not playing against anybody.
It's just against the computer.
Kind of. You have a point total you have to get to, and certain combinations of like a full house has a like a full house gets you like 200 points.
Yeah.
And then that full house, that 200 points, if like full house is worth 200 points, you got your full house with 2 3s and 2 4s. It adds up, 2 4s, 3 3s, adds that to the 200. That's your score. But then you can also get multipliers, so like you could then multiply that by 5, and then your score is then 1,000.
Yeah.
But then there are jokers that are like, hey, if you get a full house, you get a multiplier of 30. Or if if all of your cards are this, and then you can get things that like you can take your 3 and like make it a wild, so it can be any color, and you can like. It's roguelike in that there's like runs, and you have your deck of cards you're modifying over the course of the game, and there are like starting decks that have like only black and red cards or only like hearts and spades, and so like there's these different combinations. It is a really fun, satisfying, addictive little game experience.
Love a good roguelike. Love a good. It's only $10 too on mobile.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is like
which I think it was never more expensive than that on Steam as well. It's a fairly cheap game. The music is great. Hearing the orchestral version of the music was so good.
Oh, is it cool? Yeah,
it was really cool. Yeah, it's a really great game.
I've been playing Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. I will say, after 33 years. Okay, that's not true. Pokemon came out after I was born. After like 26 years. That seems right. Not knowing how to play the card game. I now know how to play the card game, so no kid can come in my office anymore and play this bullcrap way of them obviously just cheating to win.
Yeah.
I now know how to play the game, which feels very empowering. I will say I've definitely fallen off the game. I typically just go on to open a pack of cards and just go about my day. Yeah. It feels like all the decks are the same now, which is probably not the case. I just don't know. There's only such a limited number of cards right now. And so I feel like everyone's decks are kind of the same, just kind of like, just depends on what type they're using, really.
Yeah.
So I think I'll go back one day and truly play it once there's more cards and more variety and more things to do.
For sure.
I will say, like, from what I've seen, I have a client that plays the Magic trading card game on mobile, and it looks way more fun because there is so much more.
So much variety. Yeah, that game's been being made for decades.
Yeah, I think that deserves to be on here, and the fact that it's not. And 3 anime games are. Nothing against anime. I do like to watch anime myself, but Zenless Zone Zero, Withering Waves, and AFK Journey. I just can't. I can't with these games anymore. Someone sat down and tried to explain what's the big one? Not Honkai Star Rail, not Zenless Zone Zero. What's the other one that's so
Genshin Impact?
Yeah. Someone came to my office and explained Genshin Impact. And I gave him my full attention, of course. Yeah. But I just can't. It's too much. I looked at him. I was like, listen, I just don't know. I can't follow this at all. It's too much. It's not my thing. But I'm happy for people who like it. That's cool that they like it. Yeah. Best debut indie game. We have Animal Well, Balatro, Manor Lords, Pacific Drive, and The Plucky Squire, with Balatro winning again. Ryan, you've played.
I've played all of these except Manor Lords.
Okay.
To various degrees. I have finished Animal Well's amazing game.
Yeah.
There are tiers of finishing the game.
Interesting.
Some tiers you can complete on your own, and some tiers you need to like community collaboration, because it is like a Metroidvania. There is no fighting in it. You don't ever attack any enemies. But you're essentially collecting eggs. But there's like tiers of the game. It's really hard to explain.
Yeah.
Where like after you've found all the eggs, you unlock the next version of the game. It's in the same world, but you're seeing the world in a different way because now there's like bunnies that have always been hidden there, but you didn't notice them. And then once you find all the bunnies, there's another layer that you can't really do on your own. You have to do it in collaboration with the community. It's this what game that one guy spent a decade of his life designing. It is a really cool and really fun game. It is. I'm not a huge fan of Metroidvanias. Some I really enjoy, but this is much more of like a puzzle Metroidvania than like a big platforming fighting one. And I really loved it. It was such a fun. There's some moments in that game where like you are walking through the same place that you've walked through 100 times, and you notice something. You're like, hold on, this changes everything about what I need to do now in a really fun way. It's just a really lovely game.
That's cool.
Manowars I haven't played, but it's supposed to be very good. Pacific Drive, great game. I haven't finished, but it's a great vibe of a game. Plucky Swire was a big disappointment. They actually just released update for it that lets you streamline the story, so you don't have to pay as much attention to it because people disliked it so much. But yeah, I think Balatro definitely deserves the win here. But man, it's a
MOL sounds like just a really trippy Easter egg hunt.
For sure. That's exactly what it is.
Is that right? Okay, so people love Easter, they should play it.
Absolutely. And it is if you are a YouTube person, Video Game Donkey, his publishing company published it.
Oh.
So if you're a big fan of Video Game Donkey, who makes very funny video game videos, then he that's another reason to be aware of it and check it out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Best independent game. Yeah, Animal. Oh wait. Yeah. I was like, wait, what? MOL, Balatro, Lorelei, and the Laser Eyes. I'd never in my life heard that one.
Never heard of it, no.
They said Neva.
I think it's Neva.
Is it Neva? I thought it was Neva.
It's Neva.
Neva?
Yeah.
That's weird. Okay. It's the same thing with Grizz. No one knows how to pronounce it. Or UFO 50 with Balatro winning again.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
These are some, like, they're interesting games. UFO 50 is a weird one, but it's very cool. Never heard of Lorelei and Laser Eyes. Neva's fun, but I don't think it has the same. Animal Well and Balatro are two of my games that I loved more than anything this year, so Balatro definitely is a good winner there.
It is interesting. I was looking at Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. It's just a puzzle game. It's a story. The players take on the role of a woman who receives an invitation to participate in the mysterious project of an old hotel in Central Europe. As she delves deeper into the hotel's secrets, the situation becomes increasingly surreal and dangerous. The narrative unfolds through snippets of information, clues, and environmental storytelling, challenging players to piece together the truth.
I think I've seen somebody playing this.
It looks really weird.
It's a pretty trippy game, if I remember correctly. It's like kind of has some roguelike elements, but then there's also like a escape room elements, and the building also changes. I might be thinking of a different game though.
Huh. Very interesting.
Yeah, interesting. But Balatro feels like a good.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Balatro was such a huge game this year that I think it was going to win all of the indie titles, and it did.
Good for them.
Yeah.
So I did the last couple ones. You can go for it if you want to.
That's okay. Best community support: Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, and No Man's Sky. I was pretty sure Fortnite was going to win this.
Me too. I kind of feel like it should. No offense to Baldur's Gate, but just with all the things Fortnite's doing, I kind of feel like it should.
Yeah.
I mean, I think.
I think Baldur's Gate is going to put out updates.
That's true.
But I don't think in the same way. Like I don't think Baldur's Gate is a ongoing game experience in the same way that Helldivers, Fortnite, and Final Fantasy are.
Yeah.
It's like a game they made and then kept supporting. That feels different. Although I guess maybe that's where ongoing is. I don't know.
Or no. Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, I'm mixing that up.
Yeah, but it's like it just doesn't feel like any game has a community that can hang with the community of Fortnite because it is so all-encompassing and big.
It's probably why they didn't win. People are like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's one every year, and I just haven't paid attention. But I thought I remember they got snubbed last year too. I don't.
They probably did. I feel like for community support and ongoing, it feels like Fortnite should probably be taking those both.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because for best ongoing, we have Destiny 2, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Helldivers 2, with Helldivers 2 winning. But again, I feel like it fell off so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't feel like, and with Fortnite just being still so strong, even Final Fantasy 14, I'd argue.
Yeah, for sure.
deserves it
For
too
sure.
over Helldivers
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
curious if it's I'm curious if the reason is because the critics who vote for these things are an older population,
Yep. That's what I
and
wondered
they
too.
connected with Helldivers in a way that they've fully written off Fortnite
Yeah.
and Final Fantasy 14. I don't know if that's the case, but that
I
I
wouldn't be
think that
surprised.
could be why. Yeah, exactly. Next is Games for Impact. This was I don't know if you know Eric, the person who gave this award or no. What am I thinking of? The guy that made Tales of Kenzuru Zhao, he gave an award in one of these. He came out and said, that, I won't talk about my dad this year. I don't know if you remember when he
Oh,
came out and said that.
yeah.
He's the guy who made. He's the voice of Bayek in Assassin's Creed.
Oh.
And he made Tales of Kenzuru Zhao, which is like a Metroidvania about like African mythology and like dealing with grief and loss. That game, they laid off the whole team because it didn't do super well, which is a really big bummer. So it was kind of sad to see him come out and talk about his game. But the Games for Impact was Close the Distance, Indica, Neva, Life is Strange Double Exposure, Senua Saga Hellblade 2, and Tales of Kenzuru Zhao. At Neva 1, it's the only one of these I've played. It was a fun game. It was a really fun experience. I don't feel in any way I was like impacted, other than
Yeah.
I want to make sure this dog doesn't get hurt. I really care
Right.
about this dog, but that doesn't feel as impactful as some of these other games, at least from like a culture and social impact way.
Yeah.
I think these other games, I mean, I don't know what closer the distance is. I know Indica is like this really wild like game about Catholicism and what it's like to be religious in this like really interesting way. Life is Strange, people love those games. Senua Saga is about mental health, and then Tales of
Yeah.
Kenzari is like a game about black mythology and grief. And Niva is also about grief, but it just does. I don't know if that
Yeah.
feels the same. I'm glad it won, I guess, because it's like a small team, but it does not feel like a game that I walked away from feeling like thinking differently about the world.
Yeah. Some of these wins are feeling a little weird to me.
Yeah,
As we're
for sure.
talking it through, this feels definitely a little bit skewed in a not open-minded perspective, I guess I'd say. This
Yeah,
feels a
for sure.
little bit weird to me. But
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I think the fault and the flaw of something like the Game Awards is you're asking a very specific population of people what they think is the best, and I don't know if that's representative of everybody who consumes the media.
Yes, definitely.
It's probably mostly old white guys.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Because
Older
that's
white
who,
guys. Yep.
that's who are game critics generally, and publishers and all that.
Gross. Innovation and accessibility. This is Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred, Dragon Age, The Veilguard. Yeah, Veilguard?
Veilguard. Yeah.
Sorry. I was like, do I know English? Prince of Persia, The Last Crown, and Star Wars Outlaws. With Prince of Persia, The Last Crown winning, which is really cool. And I think I want to get more into understanding accessibility in games because I watched this. My wife actually watches this YouTuber. Her name's Molly Burke, and she's blind. She's been doing this series with another person. His name is, I want to make sure I shout him out too. His name is Ross Moss? No, that's not right. There's no way. Ross Minor. His name is Ross Minor. And he's a blind gamer. He lost his sight at the age of 8 when his dad shot him, which is pretty wild. This is a pretty wild story there. But he's completely blind. He lost an eye, and his other eye is completely blind. But he is a streamer, and he streams games. And they showed on Molly Burke's YouTube channel how to play The Last of Us Part 1 remake with the accessibility features, and how clicking down on the joystick, one of the joysticks, makes a sound in your ear when you have headphones on that tells you the direction to go, and it's always kind of auto correcting you to go the right direction so you can experience the game. And then there is an audio accessibility that is describing to you what is happening, like older man walks in, his name is Joel, he looks tired and disheveled, he sits with his daughter, and then they like do their talk, and it's like Sarah motions behind the couch and pulls out a present. Like, it tells you the story as you're playing, almost like a Tales of the Cartridge episode, honestly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but it does it in a way that's like helps people to play games and enjoy them the same way a sighted person would. And it's so interesting to me watching that video. It's like, wow, that is so cool that people get to enjoy this medium in this way that wasn't intentionally made for them, unfortunately, but they can enjoy it nonetheless. And I think it really should be something that is cultivated more and more in
Absolutely.
games. So, and when I say not made for them, I just mean, it's made for the intention of people to see it and play it, and
Yeah.
which sucks. And I hope that doesn't come off badly. I'm not trying to, but yeah, very interesting. It's really cool. I really hope there's more innovation, and I'm happy that Prince of Persia won a award, because it sounds like they really put a lot of heart into that game, even though it didn't perform, I think, the way they wanted to or sell the way they wanted to. But it's definitely one I want to get to because I love roguelikes, but just hasn't gotten to it yet.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and I think I thought it was going to be either Prince of Persia or Outlaws, because as much as Ubisoft is a bunch of hooligans, they always go above and beyond with making sure they have a lot of those accessibility features in the game, and making sure, at least in the past, they have. That was an assumption I had made, because that's something they really spend a lot of time thinking about in a way that I think a lot of other studios don't. So yeah, I'm glad they keep getting rewarded for that, because they keep spending the time and funds on it. And I think, like with anything, with accessibility, like anything, when you're providing any type of intervention, that accessibility makes the game better for everybody, right? Because all those features that are specifically designed to support people who have some type of disability, there's other people who don't have that disability who can still benefit from that being in the game. It doesn't take anything away.
Exactly.
So it's always a good idea.
Yeah, 100%.
Next is best performance. Oh man, okay.
Brianna
Brianna White as Aerolith Gainsborough.
I guess I never really Aerith Gaines. Yeah, I guess that's her last name. I didn't really. Aerith
from Final Fantasy Rebirth. Hannah Tell as Max Caulfield in Life is Strange, Double Exposure. Humberly Gonzalez as Kay in Star Wars Outlaws. Luke Roberts as James Sutherland in Silent Hill 2, and Melina Juergens as Senwa in Senwa Saga Hellblade 2, and Melina Juergens won.
She looks probably fitting. Yeah, I feel like she probably deserves it. I haven't played it, but like she did great in the first one.
Yeah, and that it's a pretty tough. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in that role, especially when you're dealing with the mental health pieces that are so prevalent in those games. That I'm sure, like doing that is really challenging, and I'm sure it ties into the next win that they got.
Yeah, yep. And I think I personally was really hoping for Luke Roberts, who played James Sutherland in Silent Hill 2, to win, just from the snippets I've seen in the game and how, again, mental health is portrayed and the idea of like grief and sorrow. It sounds like he did a fantastic job with that. I just think remakes get negative perceptions towards them.
Do.
And I really feel like that's not. I don't know. I'll get into it at the end. Best audio design is Astrobot, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Senua's Sacrifice, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. With Senua's Sacrifice, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is the winner. And again, I really feel like Silent Hill should have won, because that, if you watch any clips from that game, it is so eerie and scary and just like really terrifying. Honestly though, I don't know enough about Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 to know, but it probably is great, because it was great in the first one too. So
yeah, I don't know anything about the second game, but I do know in the first game there was a lot of moments where you'd be playing the game and somebody would like say something in one of your ears, and you'd like turn and there'd be nothing there, and there's a lot of 3D audio that was used in a really creepy way. But I don't know in the second one how that was experienced, because I've heard the second one wasn't as successful as the first.
Yeah.
At least in money, it didn't make as much money. I don't know how actually successful a game it was, but
it's too bad.
Yeah. Next is best score in music. Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor Fantasio, Silent Hill 2, and Stellar Blade, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth 1. I wasn't super surprised with this, just because the music in Final Fantasy is so beloved,
right,
and so well known, that I wasn't super surprised.
And plus, Kitsune, what's his name? I forget. The composer from Final Fantasy VII did the music. I'm pretty sure, and that's why everyone was like standing for. I think that was the standing applause. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just so beloved. So that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great soundtrack. Best art direction is Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, Metaphor Refantasio, and Neva. And I never would have thought that would win. Best art direction is Metaphor Refantasio won. I mean, I think it's just as a particular art style, and people really liked it, I guess. I think Black Myth Wukong had a really cool art style I was really in love with a lot. And honestly, Astrobot too. Astrobot has a fun little art style that I think is cute. So yeah, any of those really are great.
Best narrative, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor Refantasio, Senua Saga Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. And Metaphor got this one as well.
I can't believe it's won so many.
It's just a game I've no, other than knowing people really like it, I have no frame of reference. I know Infinite Wealth people really love the story of. I mean Silent Hill is like that story is already beloved. Senua Saga, I'm not sure. I don't know enough about it. And then Final Fantasy Rebirth, I know people didn't love the story of this one as much as they did the other one. But yeah, people really like a lot of what Metaphor's doing. Similar to I think in previous years, I think there's some games that are just not our particular vibe, but people really love and always end up sweeping a bunch of stuff.
It's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah.
Best game direction, Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor Refantasio, with Astrobot winning, which I was really surprised about. I was really surprised about.
Really surprised. And generally, I mean, this isn't always the case. At least in the past few years, it feels like whoever wins game direction doesn't win game of the year.
Yes,
you get
I agree.
one or the other.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm glad Astrobot won. I think the game direction was really cool in that game.
Yeah.
It's just a game that is just joy, its only purpose is to be fun to play. It isn't trying to do anything else except be moment to moment fun, and it succeeds in that really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really surprised that Astrobot won game direction.
Me too. I think it's really cool, but also I don't know. These other ones just have so much uniqueness to them that it's just interesting that Astrobot was the winner. I don't know. It's very interesting. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Player's Voice, which this was voted on by folks. Black Myth Wukong, Genshin Impact, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, Wuthering Waves, and Zenless Zone Zero. And Black Myth Wukong won, which I wasn't too surprised here because there is a very fervent fan base around this game. A very, very intense and fervent fan base, so I'm not surprised.
I'm happy about it. I thought Elden Ring would win, honestly.
Yeah, same.
The fact that I forget who the developers or who the publishers or whatever of Genshin Impact and I think Wuthering Waves is the same people, maybe not, but Zenless Zone Zero is just to have 2 or 3 games in the same category is pretty wild. So good on them, I guess. Well. People love those.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Game of the Year, there was Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor Refantasio, with Astrobot winning Game of the Year. I was really surprised. At this point, too. As we got to the game direction with Astrobot winning, I was like, okay. I mean, I think it's weird, but this is just confirmation that Elden Ring is going to win. Which I was like, this is going to be so polarizing. People are going to be really upset about this. Yeah. But then Astrobot won. I was like, that is crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not to say it's bad. I think it sounds like it was well deserved, so I'm going to just have faith that that's the case, I guess. But I don't know. There's just Black Myth and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I guess I can see. But even with all the hype of Metaphor Refantasio winning so many awards, I'm almost surprised it didn't win either. Yeah, I was surprised too. I thought it might win. Absolutely. Even Balatro, everyone loves Balatro. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm. It almost feels like the game that is most accessible to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
It feels like Astrobot. But yeah, it was. I'm glad it won because it was a joy to play that game. Mm-hmm. I do feel like after Sven's speech, it felt like a very tough win, and I mean I don't know if you saw, Eric, but Baldur's Gate is getting review bombed on Steam right now because a lot of Chinese lovers of Wukong some reason are angry or believe that Sven was speaking about Black Myth Wukong in that speech. So
What?
Elden Ring.
Why?
I don't know. And like they because he announced it, the anger is going towards him that Black Myth didn't win.
Yeah.
But after his speech, it felt pretty weird to have like I think Astaroth was absolutely a labor of love, but it also feels fully like an advertisement for Sony.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I felt like everything that he was saying was going against the idea of corporations.
Yeah.
Pushing these things or innovations and pushing for profit over.
Yeah.
Over product or over like storytelling or whatever it is, and then it feels like Sony winning that felt a little weird.
It did absolutely felt weird. Yeah.
Whereas like Black Myth, I felt like was kind of more the embodiment of what he was saying. So I'm a little surprised they're review bombing him for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the background of Black Myth Wukong. I know it's the first Chinese developed game to be in. So I think there's probably some cultural and like national pride in there that is coming through. But yeah, it's a wild one.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the Game Awards. A lot of weird winners. I don't know. There's some I was like, yeah, I totally see that, and others I'm just kind of perplexed about. I also want to say too, this is my hot take. I don't think, like many people who disagree with it too, I don't think that Elden Ring's DLC should have been nominated for Game of the Year. I really truly feel like with the amount of DLCs we get in a year now, it should be its own category.
For sure.
I know people will probably be frowning on this, but the fact that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is on there, though I'd also argue that's not necessarily a remake of Final Fantasy VII's mid section of its game. I still think Silent Hill 2 should have been on this list. I think that, yes, you can say like it's the same game as it was back in the early 2000s when it first came out, but like I would argue it is, though the same story, a very different game from what it once was in terms of atmosphere, in terms of gameplay. I think it definitely had a right to be nominated for Game of the Year over Elden Ring. But that's my hot take. Even over Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I would argue too. Like, I think that's a game that really pushed the bounds and really did very well, and people are very happy with it. That more so than even Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm a little surprised they picked Rebirth over Silent Hill 2. But that's my hot take. So, but that's all the other ones I brought up randomly throughout this episode. I'm not sure which ones made it, which ones didn't, but we'll see. But now we'll just go over really quickly all the announcements from the show.
There's lots of exciting stuff. Some stuff that
ones.
Was weird, but some stuff that was very exciting.
Yeah. Witcher 4 reveal with Ciri is
that
wild.
Was so good. I mean, that game isn't going to be out for like 3 more years, but I was so excited to see it. I mean, it's been so long since The Witcher has been around, and just like starting to put the pieces together and seeing like, oh, this looks pretty dark and weird, and then like seeing the 2 swords and be like, hold on, wait a minute. It was such a cool moment. I
love the callback to the trailer from Witcher 3. The original, the original teaser trailer for Witcher 3 with I'm killing monsters towards the human people, and Ciri did the same exact thing. I wish I wanted more though. I wanted to see her do the thing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I love that like this is still a world that's bleak and dark, and people still fall on tradition, and it's up to a Witcher to be like, what are we doing? We're better than this. You know, Witchers, the people who are known for having no emotion typically have more emotion than the people who do have emotion.
It's such a cool good. And I'm really curious to see, because it seems like Geralt is like has very strong feelings, but pretty level. Yes. And Ciri absolutely isn't that. So I'm really curious to see if there's some more passion and intensity, and that Ciri has less patience for these people than Geralt does. And I'm really curious as to how she has the powers. There's a lot of, it's just such a cool.
Know. Yeah, either she did the trials, or I don't know if she did or not, but maybe she didn't, because she's already has the Elder Blood.
It was just such a cool reveal, and it just is such an exciting world to go back to. After so much time, it was great.
It's so cool. Sorry, I took the one that you highlighted. You can go.
I'll
jump in.
I think for most of the ones I highlighted, you probably also are excited about. I imagine, especially these top ones.
Yes.
Next was Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, the new Naughty
Yeah.
Dog game.
So wild. I was not
So
anticipating
wild.
that.
I don't know if you know this about me, Eric, but I love that like sci-fi, but like
Yes.
80s, like
Yup.
very
Yup.
Cowboy Bebop, which I
Yes.
love.
Yes. Love it.
And
Love it. Love it.
Akira. I see a lot of
Yeah.
people compare it to Akira a lot.
Yes.
It's such a cool vibe. I'm really excited to see. I mean, I have a lot of faith in Naughty Dog to do well.
Yep.
I hope they do. I have no idea what the timeline is on this game.
I know, seriously.
This could be another game that isn't out for another 2 or 3 more years, but to know that there's another game that is a new IP that has this like weird and wild title that seems like just a weird one, I'm really excited for the whole vibe and energy of it. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
The Elden Ring spinoff.
Yeah, I mean, as Storygoers know, neither of us were initially very big into the whole Elden Ring type game, and then you fell in love with Life of P.
Lies of P.
And Lies of P. Thank you.
Lies
Life
sorry.
of P. It's very
Make sure no one came after you.
And then I enjoyed Elden Ring. It certainly still isn't like my favorite type of game.
Yeah.
It's fun enough. And the idea of playing a multiplayer version of that, knowing I played like the multiplayer, I played a little bit of it in Elden Ring, but it's pretty bad, I would say. In that like you can only do certain sections of the game, and one of you is like a ghost, so you don't actually get anything. Like you can't pick up items, you can't really do anything, and you get no like experience from helping your friend out. So it's a bit of a weird. It's like fun enough, right? You can like, get to do a thing with a person. But the idea of doing like playing Elden Ring fully co-op is so much more interesting and exciting to me. I didn't realize during the announcement I had no sense that it was like there's rumors it's like a roguelike in some way. Yeah, with like you're fighting different monsters and stuff like that. Does seem pretty exciting and interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it does, because I think what was exciting about Elden Ring is the vastness of it and like being able to go and find random stuff. But you know, they hopefully those developers know what they're doing. They've made a lot of really good stuff.
Yep.
So I'm excited about playing that type of game with other people. That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, what's most exciting about that.
Yeah, for sure. The next Shadow of the Colossus game, not game, but like from the project of the person who made those series.
Yeah.
It really does have that Ico feel to it. It has the Shadow of the Colossus feel, the movement of it. It looks very weird though.
Absolutely. It does look very weird. Yeah.
It's just future Ico. It's just like
it looked exactly like future Ico with like some weird like climbing of a giant robot that felt Colossus-y.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they make such interesting and weird games that I'm just excited to see what they're going to do next.
Yeah.
With their worlds, and if it's going to be connected like all the other games are.
It'd be very cool. I mean, I hope what was the third one? What was Thryko called?
The one with the big old bird friend.
The big old dog guy, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't do very well.
It took ages to come out.
And then underperformed.
Yeah.
Last Guardian.
Yeah, that was it.
That's all it was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was interesting. And then
yeah, for sure.
We had the trailer for Borderlands 4, which
yes,
I don't know how I feel about. I'm sure it's gonna be fun to play, but again,
yes,
it does not feel. I want another Handsome Jack kind of bad guy. I want more of a Borderlands 2 feel, and this feels like Borderlands 3 again, which is all well and good, but just not what I'm.
Yeah, I mean, like the gameplay of Borderlands 3 was very fun, and like getting to like slide and move in more interesting ways was fun. But the story was really bad, and the characters were really bad, and I didn't really like any of them.
Same.
And like you said, it was fun enough, like collecting cool guns and getting, but without that charm, it's hard to be as in love with it as I think we were for Borderlands 2.
Borderlands 2 is just such a special game that I feel like they have not ever touched back on that, the funness of that game again.
Yeah, and I think I'm hoping it's good, because I think it has to be, or the company's going to fold.
Yeah, seriously.
But I'm also worried that pressure might mean they push it out faster than it needs to be. Yes. But we'll see. Hopefully they do balance it well, and they understand it's better for it to be delayed and be good than it to be out because they need the money. But we'll see. Who knows what their financial situation is and how much flexibility they have.
We'll see.
So we'll see.
The Okami sequel, which I'm it makes me want to go play the original. I have it on Steam.
Yeah, I love the original game. It's such a beautiful and fun game.
What a crazy! That's probably the most wild announcement of them all.
Absolutely insane.
I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, me too. I wonder if like when I was seeing the announcement, I was trying to remember if like was Okami announced at a Game Award? Like this feels really significant, but I don't fully
Yeah.
understand why. I don't know if it was or if it has any connection to the Game Awards or if like it was Keeley was just excited to have this really wild
I'm sure he
announcement.
wanted it. Yeah.
But yeah, what a cool Team Clover I think was their name, and I think they shut down a few years
Is
ago.
that right?
So they must have this must be like them reforming or with a new studio or something like that. I think Team
Yeah.
Clover shut down. Yeah, very exciting. Okami is such a beautiful and interesting game.
So cool.
It like had very Legend of Zelda vibes as
Yes.
you move through that world and as you like interact with these weird and quirky characters. You had this like little
Paintbrush.
mushroom dude who hung out with you and jumped, not a mushroom, I don't know if he was what he was, but like it's just a weird interesting world of Japanese mythology that's very cool.
So cool. Oh, it's such a good game.
Yeah,
I want to play it really bad now. Yeah.
same.
And then Outer Worlds 2 trailer, which looked
Yeah.
very fun.
Yeah,
Looked
I
very
love
Outer Worlds 2.
that. I mean, their humor is really great, always. And the first game is just like it feels like you haven't played it, have you, Eric?
No, I want to though.
I mean,
want
it
to.
feels exactly like playing a Fallout game. Like the way you talk to people and like the camera shifts to them. Like
Yeah.
it has like this very same vibe. The world is really interesting and weird. It's a little more actiony than a Fallout is. There's like kind of a VATS type system, but it's not the same. It's a really fun. If you just need like a really fun RPG to bounce around with, it's a really good one. And the humor of it's really great.
Yeah. I marked down here Tales of the Shire. Looks interesting, but looks super janky.
It looks super janky. I don't know if it's because it's an early build, but it's coming out in 3 months.
Yeah.
But also it has to be on the Switch, so like it can't be
True.
wild looking because if it's going to ship on Switch, it just is limited by that hardware.
Yeah.
Which I think some games can really easily get around, right? Like it doesn't have to look like if your art direction is set in a certain way, I don't think it has to look janky. But
Yep.
this looked pretty
This
janky.
looks pretty janky. So hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully they iron out those kinks a little bit.
Yeah, or the gameplay is so good that you don't care.
Yeah,
maybe,
true,
right?
true.
Like the experience is like Stardew doesn't look great, but people love it because the gameplay is so interesting. So you
Yeah.
learn to love the weird art style. But yeah, I don't know.
We'll
I'm
see.
a bit worried about it. Yeah.
Haslight reveals a new co-op game, Split Fiction. He's too
yeah.
much.
He-
I can't.
I do not like that gentleman
He's too
at
much.
all. He's a hooligan.
His poor kids. Our friend Dave was like, those kids look jet lagged, and they did. They looked really
They did,
tired. And it
absolutely.
felt bad for them.
Yeah, same. I mean, I am really unsure about this game. I do not trust. I am really concerned what this person will do with two female protagonists in a pretty major
Yes.
way.
Yeah.
I hope the gameplay is fun, but I'm pretty concerned with what the story is going to be because I just
Me
don't trust
too.
them
Yeah.
to do a good job with making these characters human and interesting and not like terrible.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe it's fun enough, and it isn't too bad. But we'll
I
see.
mean, I have a feeling the gameplay will probably be on point
Yeah.
based on It Takes Two, because It Takes Two had really good gameplay. Though, like you're saying, I do not trust the
Yeah.
story. I do
No.
not trust It Takes Two story at all. Though, luckily,
No.
we're not going to be killing any innocent.
Well,
You know what? Actually, I take it back. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was gonna say toy elephants, but we probably will be killing innocent things. Yes, for sure.
yeah. I mean, I like when we were watching it. My wife was like, "There's one part in the game where you play as a pig, and then at some point you turn into a hot dog. Like there's like some weird."
Yes,
Which
yes,
I don't.
didn't
It
like
feels
it.
like no. I don't know. We'll see. I don't trust them
It's
with
not
any type of
fun.
like, not making it uncomfortable and weird. But hopefully the gameplay is fun enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it is weird. My dog is seeing a dog outside, so he's pretty upset about it. So I'm going to warn
Okay.
everybody in the background. He's huffing
Yeah.
and puffing.
Yeah.
But he's a small
That's
guy.
okay.
He's never heard a fly. Dave the Diver in the Jungle DLC announced for late 2025, which is really far away, actually. Now that I think
Really
about it.
far away. I
kinda
mean,
weird.
they've been cranking out so much Dave the Diver stuff that I was really surprised at the release date. Maybe it's a huge expansion. That game already has so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a big expansion and will add a lot. But I'm down for more Dave the Diver. I haven't played since I beat it ages ago. It's a really fun, charming little game.
Yeah.
It's a really fun time. So I'm excited to. That seems like a good point to go back when they had a bunch of stuff, because I haven't played any like the Godzilla DLC. I haven't played any of like the stuff that's come out since. Maybe that'll be a good time to dive
That'd be
back
cool.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Core Keeper devs announced Kiora, another gorgeously lit pixel art survival game.
Yeah, I mean, I love Core Keeper. It's a really fun, in the same vein as like a Terraria or like those other games where you're like collecting stuff and slowly getting stronger and you're fighting these big bosses. You're building a cool little base.
Yep.
It had definitely a Terraria vibe, the game. Yeah. The developers, like the folks who made Core Keeper, spent a lot of time making a really good and really fun game that I'm excited for more. And Core Keeper was not designed for co-op, but I think they eventually added it. So I'm hoping this one is designed for co-op, because those type of survival games, I like pixely survival games where you're building bases and getting powers, are just so much fun.
They're
with
fun.
Other people.
They're a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. So excited for more of that.
Yeah. The game Rematch, which is a football game, not tackle ball, but actual football, from the Seafood devs, which is coming in 2025 of summer 2025. I'm happy for them. They're making another game, which is really cool, and the same kind of art style, which I think is great. But I was really hoping for more Sifu. I was really looking forward for more of that. Yeah. After watching, you had mentioned secret levels in our Discord.
Yes.
As we're talking with our friends, and I was like, oh, I forgot that even came out. And I watched the Sifu episode, and I liked it a lot. I do. I did feel a little like, dang, he's not gonna be able to go anymore. To fight anyone else really at this point. And it was way bloodier than I was anticipating, because usually you're not slicing people up like that in the game. You can beat the crap out of them. You can slice people, but not. He was killing. There was blood everywhere, which typically
murdered a lot of folks.
That was not typically what happened in the game. So I felt that was a little much. I don't think that was really super necessary. I think it could have still been what Sifu was and still be really cool without the need of all the blood, personally. Not to be that person, but it just wasn't a part of the game, so I feel like it wasn't needed. But I like the vibe of it. I love the way the world looked. I would love just an animated run of Sifu. I think that'd be really cool. I think that'd be so cool. Power World is getting another update right before Christmas. And I was just watching the trailer and I was like, why is this still something people are playing? People like it, and that's cool, like it. I just think it's like, I don't know, it just looks weird to me. Maybe I'm just judging it because I like Pokemon, but it probably is what it is. But I don't know. Is anyone still playing Power World? Is this something that was fun? Just shooting cute things?
I don't know.
Why it's fun. I just don't know what the point.
Yeah, it feels like such a weird vibe of a game where you have these like cute, interesting creatures, and then also you're shooting them with AK-40. Like, it just feels like such a weird matching of games, and I'm sure if it's fun enough, people ignore it. Cognitive
dissonance is so strong. I mean, Pokemon also is weird because you're enslaving creatures and forcing them to fight each other. So like, I'm not just sit on my high horse like Pokemon's better than Power World, but like, or it isn't weird and Power World is, but it also is just weird. I just watching it like, what is this? Like, it literally is just Pokemon. Unequivocally, it's just like, I don't know. It just seems really silly to me, but whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Helldivers 2, new Illuminati factions out.
Yes,
which was really cool. Love that the guy from the game came out.
Yeah, that was very good.
It was very cool.
It was very, very cool.
I'm excited to play that again. I gotta install that back again.
Yes,
into the PlayStation.
It's the battle right now is pretty intense. I don't think we have. There's one planet that we're fighting for right now. The in-game, like they have like essentially slurs isn't the right word. They have like things that they call the other factions like bugs and bots. Yeah. They call the Illuminati squids.
Oh. Okay.
They're the squids. So it is a bloodbath right now.
Interesting.
on the planet we're fighting for. It's like the planet. It's like you're in like urban areas, which feels really cool.
That's cool.
And the vehicles are also very exciting, which they showed off in the trailer.
Yes.
There's not a stratagem for the vehicle yet. You find them, but there will be a stratagem in the future.
That's good.
But it's a fun time.
Really cool fighting game stuff with Clyde from Final Fantasy 16 joining the Tekken 8 roster next week already, which is really cool. As well as a new Virtua Fighter game coming out by Sega, which is like the fighting game community was eating pretty good over the Game Awards. I think that's very exciting. People love the fact that we haven't had a new Virtual Fighter in forever. We had the remake or the re-release of one of them recently-ish in the last few years, but that didn't really do a whole lot for people, I don't think. However, I think these two announcements is really cool, really fun. Post Malone had a game.
Yeah,
Hunt Showdown 1986.
Yeah,
a lot of clowns. I think it had Post Malone in the game.
It's a carnival themed
it was
horror
really
setting. It's a
clowns.
creepy game.
Yeah. And it's just funny to see Post Malone is infiltrated his way into games and whatever. And the new co-op game Stage Fright is coming, courtesy of the Overcooked devs, and I had called in our last episode that I was hoping for Overcooked 3, and my wife and I got so excited.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, it's happening! And then Stage Fright got announced, which it does look like a fun game. It looks cute, but I am definitely disappointed. I feel like I'm becoming very negative all of a sudden. I'm not trying to be, but I am disappointed. I really was wanting an Overcooked 3. But maybe Stage Fright is cool. I'm gonna give it a try. You never know. I really want Overcooked 3 next year. Next Game Awards.
I'm
you never
sure
know.
they're working on it. Yeah, I just wanted a break.
Yeah, probably. I get that.
Yeah.
Dispatch is a new game coming out, story-driven game about dispatching superheroes to combat crimes, which I think it could actually be a really cool Telltale style game. Hopefully. A lot of celebrity voices, and it looks kind of interesting.
A lot of celebrity voices, absolutely, yeah. I'm curious how it plays, and some of the gameplay it looked like. There's a genre of game called dispatch type games, essentially where you're looking at a computer screen and like solving puzzles on that computer screen.
Yeah,
I love those type of games. There's only a couple of them out, but they're very fun. So if it's that, I'm very excited. If it's that and like has some really cool like story elements similar to their other games that they've made in the past, I think that might be really, really fun.
It'd be really cool.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I put on here just the Zenless Zone Zero as a new character, and Honkai Star Rail shows a new world, and it's like there's so many anime games that got announced. I was like, I feel like it's the same game over and over again. I'm losing my mind.
For sure.
So that was funny. I just want to put that out there. And then Withering Waves, I think, is also one that's coming to PS5, and it's like they all looked the same. And I just pictured all the people in the crowd who don't typically play games. They're just kind of watching this like, what am I looking at? I was like, what is this? Do we already watch this? Like, it all looked kind of the samey. Which I don't think we will have any people that truly love that game, or else we probably get destroyed by that comment. But whatever.
For sure. Yeah.
And then last but not least, I had marked this one down too as Game of Thrones King's Road. It's coming 2025 to mobile. I didn't realize it was a mobile game.
Is that what it is?
I guess so.
Oh, it's mobile only.
Oh my god. Okay, so even more so. Really ending on a positive, negative note here.
Oh man.
Positive, negative note. I was stupid. Big negative note. I just mentioned how like I just think that this is so silly. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like, who wants this? No one wants this. No one. We don't need Jon Snow anymore. We don't need Game of Thrones. When they said, when they ended the trailer with "Winter is coming," I was like, ugh. I was like, oh no, no, we don't need this. We don't need this.
Time has passed.
The fact that it's mobile too. Ooh.
That's wild. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I don't know. But Ryan, how would you, if you were to rate it? Let's say, okay. Let's rate it on a scale of 1 Jeff Keighley to 10 Jeff Keighley's. How would you make Jeff Keighley's would you give the Game Awards?
Okay, this is tricky because there's two pieces to the Game Awards, at least for me. There's the announcements and then there's the awards themselves.
As we kind of
is established. And the awards themselves, I honestly don't care at all about. I think it's fun to see games that I've enjoyed getting awards.
Yes.
But also understanding that what happens every year is a lot of the games that end up doing really well, I never play because time and energy and taste are so broad and different that it feels like just a bit of a silly exercise in talking about these games. I'm glad we have time to talk about video games. I wish more of the time was Sven talking about video games because I like how he talks about video games. But that being said, there was a lot of really cool announcements this year, enough that it felt like a real moment in the way that, if folks don't remember, the Game Award announcements used to be kind of silly jokes.
Yeah.
Sometimes there'd be cool stuff, but the majority of it was kind of stuff that no one cared about. And to see some really big hitting, like Witcher 4, which is like probably the biggest announcement, will be the biggest announcement for years, right?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think with the new Naughty Dog game, Okami,
true,
like, those are
exactly.
All three of those are
huge things. Like these are like media, like genre defining games.
Yeah.
Like Naughty Dog announcing their new game at the Game Awards is absolutely insane.
This felt, in comparison to, not as much, but just barely under, I feel like the beginning of, I forget which Game Awards it was, but the beginning of when they announced God of War, the new 2018, the 2017
For sure.
Game Awards,
Yeah.
when it was that trailer and you see Kratos come out, he's like, bored, or whatever he did,
Yeah.
and it was like everyone lost their
Absolutely.
minds. That was such a hype moment in games. I go back and watch that sometimes. It's just so, it was like none other. That was what a way to start the show. That was crazy.
Absolutely.
That was crazy.
So that being said, I think like announcements wise, I'd probably give it like 8 Keeleys. As far as like the awards themselves, like 5 maybe.
Ooh.
Like I just
not as many Keeleys.
I'm excited that Astrobot won because I like Astrobot, but I really have a hard time understanding, and maybe this I'm just thinking too much into it, like what the intention is. Like, is the purpose of the Game Awards to celebrate the media and like someone who has stood out in the media as like genre defining? Is the purpose just to celebrate the game that the most people enjoyed and loved? Is the purpose like to like it just feels so hard to know. And so many of these games, like so many of the games that I really loved this year, either didn't get any love or were not here at all. Yeah. And then so many of the games that I really enjoyed or like I just don't care about got a lot of love. So it's really hard for me to understand or to feel like I'm glad it exists. I don't derive any personal like enjoyment like from seeing the game I like win. It's fun in the moment, but it just feels kind of meaningless.
Yeah.
As far as like me personally, I'm not going to choose games based on what games won the awards necessarily. Same. I mean, that being said, like I think like maybe I need to think more about Metaphor, but I've seen Metaphor and I've seen what it looks like, and it's just not a game I'm interested in. And there's just only so much time, and there's just not enough time to play all the games that exist. So I think 5 for the awards and 8 for the announcements is where I'm landing.
It's like what, a 6.5 average of Keeleys for that?
Yeah, I think that's like 6.5 Keeleys, which like I would say overall this is one of the best Game Awards I've watched.
Yeah.
Same. So maybe that doesn't speak well to the other experiences, but I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I think this is definitely one of the better ones too. I think, okay, I'll follow your rubric, Ryan. I think for game announcements, I'd give it an 8.5 Keeleys.
Yeah.
This is bad. I'm bad at math, so averaging this is already going to be hard. I give it 8.5 Keeleys for the announcements because they were all very cool. They weren't like games I would say like, it's not like a Zelda reveal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that would totally be 9.5 Keeleys right there. If there's like a Zelda reveal, I'd be super happy, or maybe 10. But in terms of the awards, I feel like these awards were weird. These awards were weird this year. I wish I knew more, and maybe there is more information on how they do this, but I wish there's more information on how they're deciding these things or what's going on, because this does feel more about announcements than it does feel about awards. Like sometimes they just Jeff comes on and he's like, all right, best action games, this one's the winner. All right, best games for impact, this is the winner. All right, next is a groundbreaking trailer from a groundbreaking team. Here you go. You know what I mean? It just feels like the awards are kind of secondary to an award show. Yeah. But of course, you need those announcement trailers, though.
Yeah, I mean, I personally am okay with that.
Me too.
But also, then, like, maybe why is it called the Game Awards? Then,
right?
Like, yeah. I think you're making a good point there.
Like, it's just like, why are we deciding on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth over Silent Hill, or why are we putting a DLC in when there's so many other games that could deserve Game of the Year? Yeah. That isn't getting the love because there's a DLC. Why don't we have a DLC category? Why do we have an action adventure category and then an action category? Like, it's all very strange. I just don't understand. Why are we? No, I guess I understand why we're highlighting esports. That makes sense. We should do that. Why are we highlighting content creator of the year? I don't think we need to do that. I think we could do that for something else. Like, I don't know. Whatever. to each their own. Maybe I'm overhyping, or maybe I'm just overanalyzing it. But yeah, so I think in terms of announcements, I give it 8.5 Keeleys out of 10. In terms of the awards, I give like a 6 Keeleys.
Okay.
So that's like 15 and a half Keeleys. No, 14 and a half Keeleys.
Mm-hmm.
So about 7.25 Keeleys for me.
Okay.
Yeah, is that right? Is that average out?
Yeah, that feels like the correct way to do
Math's
that. Math.
hard. I don't like
Math is hard. Yeah.
That sucks. But yeah, no, I do think it's one of the better ones though. I feel like that we need. It has progressively gotten better over these 10 years, which is great. Was it 10 years? Yeah, there's 10 years.
This was the 10th.
And I think that it's going to continue to get better. I just think they really need to redefine what the Game Awards means, like, and really, I don't know, narrow in more on these categories. I just don't understand.
Yeah, either create more or make it more clear what should be in what, or, I don't. Again, I'm not part of. I don't know how the decision's made on what, if like you only want to have 10 because that's all you want those to be. You don't want to spend a bunch of time like talking about awards that aren't important.
Yeah.
But it feels like the more games that you get to celebrate, the better.
Right.
And will feel better for people who are tuning in and watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Which they do give away awards during the pre-show, which is really cool. So I'm like, I think they do.
Yeah, they absolutely did. Because I tuned in at 7:30 and I think the show started at 8.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought too. I thought they were doing that. But like, so just give out more. Start at 7. Mm-hmm. Start at 7. Yeah. Give out some awards. I don't see why not. Like, I love that they are celebrating accessibility and audio design, and even VR stuff is cool. Or they have 2 indie categories. That's fantastic. I love that they can highlight. I mean, Blotcher won both categories, but still they can highlight other games, which they did. So like, but like also, what is it? I mean, we've talked about this before. What is an indie game? Because I look at Pacific Drive and I'm like, holy crap, how is that indie? Like,
yeah, it's so hard crazy to decide what is or isn't indie anymore. They feel like kind of old, outdated terms that I think as an industry we don't think we're super clear on.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like Dave the Diver, right? That's an indie game, but it has a massive company behind it, right?
Yes.
But it looks indie, so it's pixel art, so it must be an indie game.
It must be indie.
It's such a weird category, series of categories.
I don't know. Overall good though. Don't want to sound negative towards it.
Really fun time, just to hang out, see some games, see some really cool announcements.
Yeah.
It's just a fun time. I'm glad we have something like the Game Awards.
Me too.
To celebrate this. I think like similar. I think. Summer Games Fest feels more like a celebration of a bunch of different stuff. This feels like a celebration of AAA stuff with some like indie stuff thrown in. Yeah, it's a fun time. It's fun to have time to learn about new games and get hyped about things, and like, you know, for the next 3 years learn about what Witcher's going to be like, and that's going to be fun.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Storygoers, let us know what you think. How many Keeleys out of 10 does this Game Awards get? 10 because this is the 10th one, of course, obviously.
Of course,
yeah. Send your thoughts, feelings, and perspectives to the talesofthecartridge@gmail.com. All the E's or 3's on our social media or on the poll down below. I'll ask you, does this deserve to get a certain number of Keeleys? I don't know yet. Or did you like the Game Awards? Yes or no? Something easy, right? But then send us your thoughts and feelings about it more. We'd love to hear more about your perspectives. Were you right about some things, wrong about some things? It'd be good to know. But happy 2024 gaming year. What? No. Have a year of gaming, everyone. Hopefully it was good to you.
Got it.
Play a bunch of games. You still got a little bit of time for the end of the year. You got 16 days. 16 days. Sorry, math's hard. 16 days for the end of the year. Play more games. Have some fun. Hopefully everyone has a little bit of a break from work. They can jump on some games and enjoy it.
For sure.
Don't be toxic on Marvel Rivals. I only had one toxic person, and which is good. It's a good ratio. Don't be toxic on games. We don't need this.
Yeah.
And if we don't talk to you before, have a happy holidays and a good new year.
Yeah. Please do, everybody.
We'll see you in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oof. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.